Blackbird Writers Presents. I am Tracy S. Phillips, and I'm going to give a huge shout out to all of our listeners and all of the people watching our videos for Blackbird Writers Presents. Thank you so much, and without you, could not have become an award-winning podcast. So thanks for listening. And if you ever want to give any feedback, please write in the comments below. Today, I am speaking with Christine Desmet. She is a writing coach, a novelist, a screenwriter, a short story writer, a playwright, a speaker and workshop leader, and a frequent contest judge. She taught writing at the University of Wisconsin-Madison Continuing Studies for many years as a distinguished faculty associate. She directed nationally recognized programs, including the Right by the Lake Writers Workshop and Retreat and Writers Institute. She was a coach at the UW's Pathway to Publication coaching program and has enjoyed watching writers become authors. She has 5 books in her Fudge Shop Mysteries series. Is that right?
6.
5 or 6?
6.
6 books.
Yeah.
And several Moonstone romantic suspense novels. Welcome, Christine.
Well, thank you. This is an honor. I love it. And congratulations on this YouTube program getting awards. This is great.
Yay, thank you. It's probably just because I love talking to authors so much.
And we benefit from it. That's good.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about the Fudge Shop Mysteries, and specifically Hot Fudge Frame Up today. And those are placed in the vacation heart of Wisconsin in Door County. So tell us a little bit about your inspiration for this series.
Well, the inspiration was twofold, maybe threefold. Door County, Wisconsin is a vacation spot that people from across the United States come to, and it's a beautiful spot. It's filled with all kinds of beautiful scenery with the shoreline. The county juts into Lake Michigan, and it's just gorgeous. And there are plenty of fudge shops. So part of the inspiration came from some of the fudge shops there. But I also had been contacted by an agent who was looking for something about chocolate. And I contacted him and said, well, how about fudge in Door County? And he said, that sounds good. Let's try it. And it sold. But I also told him I needed to write about Belgians because they practically own half the county. I mean, the Belgian settlement there is huge. It's about half the county, the lower half of Door County. And I'm half Belgian. So I said, I would really like to delve into the settlements there in Door County and the history of the immigrants that came from Belgium. And of course, the Finns and the Swedes as well. And that's where it all came from. It was from the history of that county that really kind of converged in my heart and head. And I said, I had to write about this. So that's where it came from.
Oh, that's so cool. And I love the books, and the setting is great, right? You're right on the lake and in this sort of vacation community. And the character, Ava Osterling, I'm pronouncing that right?
Oosterling.
Okay. And she's a Belgian Wisconsinite, like you were saying, with a great sense of humor. I love that. So tell us a little bit about her.
Ava is precocious for sure, but she's trying to make up for her past mistakes. Straight out of college, she was a basketball player in college. So this was a strong woman, really goes for it, athletic woman, unlike me. And she got married too young. She eloped, made a big mistake, went to Vegas, got that annulled right away, ended up in Los Angeles as a writer on a TV show. Her background was in writing. But she was disillusioned by that and ended up back in Door County to help her grandparents. Her grandmother had broken a leg and needed help in the small shop that they ran. And so Ava comes back to help her grandparents. And she and her grandpa become the two main characters throughout the series. She really loves Grandpa, that she calls Gilpa. His name is Gilson, and she says Gilpa for Grandpa. And so the series really evolved, to my surprise, when they met. I didn't plan that. It was like, oh my God, there's something special here between these two. And they have carried through on the series. So that's Ava in a nutshell. She has a good best friend, Pauline, who's a kindergarten teacher, and she's got the family there in Door County. They're farmers, Belgian farmers in the lower half of the county. So I use the county and the reality a lot in my series with her.
Yeah, yeah. And that's so much fun. And her friend Pauline and Ava, they're a pair. And I love how Gilpa calls them AM and PM.
Yes. Yep, because Ava Matilda, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they are a pair and they do everything together throughout the series. And that's one thing my agent and my editor loved Pauline. And in fact, at one point I was going to try and shorten her name a little bit. I thought Pauline was kind of old fashioned, but I kind of liked it. It's a very Belgian name. And my editor said, no, Pauline is a beautiful name. Keep Pauline. Don't call her Polly. Don't have any of these nicknames going on. And so my editor loved Pauline.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That always, it's good when things like that work out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So in Hot Fudge Frame Up, book 4, yeah, here, da, da,
Yeah.
da. Yeah. Um, it centers on a fudge competition. And I just have to read the your description. Do you mind if I share it? I'm probably
Oh,
going to
go ahead.
stumble. It's like
Sure.
a tumble, it's like a tongue twister.
Sure.
Candy shop owner Ava Osterling mixes it up with a fudge judge with a grudge who loses his life before he can pick a winner. That's so cute.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, so when the judge is found dead, as often happens in mysteries, um, Ava becomes a suspect, which doesn't often happen. And can you share a little bit about how the book opens?
The book opens with a lot of chaos because the judges have come from Portland, Oregon, one of them, and one of them from Chicago. There's a guy who's a muffin baker, essentially, and also does fudge from Chicago. He's come, and a woman from Oregon who makes things with bark. That's the joke. She loves baking with plants, and she actually tries to use bark in her cooking and baking. And so they're aboard. And there are a couple other judge type people that flow in and out, and nobody gets along. It is a big disaster, just a super disaster for Ava. And she almost doesn't know what to do. She's got to keep people talking to each other and make sure this contest comes off because they've never done this kind of thing before in
Yeah.
their town. And the one thing with Cozy Mysteries is you don't want a lot of this kind of strife. You want everything to be wonderful and gentle and we'll solve our problems right away and all that. But I decided to put all of this in the first chapter, just get it out there right away and see how they solve these problems. And in fact, when I wrote the book, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen after that first chapter. I had a sense of how I had to solve it toward the end, but I thought, I'm going to just give myself a problem and see how these characters react. I'm going to see what they do. And I was pleased with the outcome. They figure things out, but it takes a whole book for them to figure things out. And of course, somebody in the middle of it all dies. So yeah, there you go. Don't hold a fudge contest. Somebody will die. Yeah.
Um, so do, Ava pairs up with her best friend, and she and Pauline then try to solve the crime. And she's also has plenty of family and friends, and you talked about her Gilpa, and also a love interest, Dylan, whose dog Lucky is another character.
Yeah, Lucky Harbor is another character with Dylan. And Dylan is the one she ran away with, eloped, and then they got that annulled because they were both foolish people fresh out of college. And then Dylan comes back home. His parents are in Door County at the moment. They're originally from Milwaukee, but he comes back and now he's becoming a carpenter. He's working for the real estate company and the management company where they rehab properties. And so he's reformed, but of course, Ava doesn't really trust him. He's also not drinking anymore. He's really truly trying to become well, he's trying to grow up is what it amounts to.
Yeah.
And, but she doesn't quite trust that yet. But he provides a lot of humor because he brings along this dog that, tears into her shop, this, Fudge Shop, and that's how he introduces himself. And this dog is all over town. You cannot confine him. He's the kind of dog that's just always running. Oh, and it's a hunting dog. So it's an American Water Spaniel, which is indigenous, developed here in Wisconsin, I should say. So this dog is very active. So there's a lot of fun with those two. Dylan is a lot of fun, and he changes a lot throughout the series. He really matures a lot. And by
Yeah.
this last book that I wrote, the sixth book in the series, he is very much changed. So there's a real different human being there. And I was
Oh,
pleased with that. I like seeing characters grow like that and change.
yeah, that's wonderful. Um, so the series has 6 books. Did you plan like character arcs for the characters?
I knew that I needed an arc where Dylan and Ava both would redeem themselves and grow and change and show the change, not just that they would think about it, that they had to show the change. And I knew that would take at least 6 books. I didn't see that as a real quickie thing. It wouldn't feel real because my timeline in the book is only a couple years
Right.
overall. So it would have been very unnatural for them to just flip into these new characterizations. And so I had to take that slow and thoughtfully over time. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
And I
But
don't,
I'm pleased with how they turned out though. Right now well, I won't tell you everything in the latest book because there are some surprises. So we won't say anything about book 6.
okay. Okay. So writing a series like that takes a lot of time and obviously planning each book. Did you plan each crime to be a different type of crime?
I absolutely tried to because I wanted each book to be interesting on its own. Um, and that is tricky because after you write so many books, you sometimes feel like you're running out of ideas for crimes.
Yeah.
Although there are plenty of crimes out there in real life. But I had to plan at least 3 books at a time for the editors I was working with. They
Mm.
wanted to know everything, which makes it a little hard because you're projecting into the future, which may be 3 or 4 years from now when you're writing that third or fourth or fifth book. So I had to project into the future about what crimes there would be. Plus, I had to project crimes that would fit the titles and titles that fit the crime. We went through that at least 20 titles for each book. My
Wow.
agent weighed in, the editor weighed in, and we really had to look at, what would sell to the public. It was tough because they wanted fudge in every title, and that
Mm.
makes it tough.
Yeah, I would imagine for sure.
Yeah.
So let's move on to your romantic suspense novellas. They
Ah,
are so cute. Then the Moonstone Fire, the most recent one, was really super cute. I have the cover, and I think you have the cover there
yeah, I have a
too.
copy of it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so what was the inspiration for writing these short, suspenseful romances?
Well, that came about because of a challenge. A friend of mine was writing those and was going to put together some anthologies with several writers. And she said to me, Christine, you need to join this. You need to do this. And at the time, I was writing romances, longer manuscripts, 300 pages and all that stuff. And I said, I can't write short. I've never done that. And so at first I said, no. I said, no, I can't do it. Bye bye. Well, she came back and she said, no, you can do this. You've written screenplays, you've written plays, you've done all this other stuff. And we really need you. We need the type of stories that you write. And so, I was probably flattered a little bit and gave in. And then I had to write the darn things. And they are challenging because you have to have the same type of plotting that you have in a big book, but you're going to leave out all that other the stuff. And
Yeah.
it basically becomes a stage play or a screenplay. And
Okay.
so I thought of it as a screenplay, and that helped a lot because I know in screenplay writing, you mostly have dialogue and maybe a line here and there about the action. And so I followed that kind of pattern to put together
Mm.
these books, novellas. They're called novellas. Yeah.
Right. Right. I know it's difficult too to move the story forward through dialogue, mostly
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
So, but these books are really great. And your character in this particular book, because they're not a series, right?
They're connected by people who, yes, they are a series.
Oh,
There are people who continue throughout the series from book to book. And you get to
oh,
meet new people all from the same village. So they build on each other. And by the time you get to the last book, which will be, there's 9 books in the series, you'll have a complete view of this village in northern Wisconsin, which is
oh,
set in Lake
wow.
Superior. So I always try to make sure there's 1 or 2 characters from the previous books in the new book, in the new novella. So I'm always kind of leapfrogging ahead with
Uh-huh.
the characters. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. And then, but you plan to like paint a picture of this whole town through all of these books.
Right. By the time you get to the last one, you should have a really good feel for this little village and how much they care for each other.
Oh, that's really neat. I like that a lot. And I like that some characters are scattered throughout the other books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's fun. The advantage of that is that when you need a character for something, they're there waiting for you. You can go, oh my God, I need a certain type of shopkeeper. Oh, that's right, I've got one. And I go back to 2 books before and grab that shopkeeper and bring them up to the current book. And so it kind of helps you write in a way.
Right. I want to talk about the characters in the Moonstone Fire, and I want to talk about that story too, but I also want to go back and discuss how do you keep track of all of those things. So let's introduce the John Hall, who is in Moonstone Fire.
Yeah,
And
John Bozeman Hall, he's from Bozeman, Montana. He is a Afghanistan warrior, veteran, and wounded warrior.
Mhm.
He also knows Peter LeBaron, who is a friend of his in the book, and he's come to help Peter. Peter is older, but was also a wounded warrior, and they helped each other in the past. And so um, Bose is coming to help because there's been a fire, and Peter's cabin has burned down. And he's a
Right.
newlywed, and he's also his wife's having a baby, or is very soon going to have a baby, and there's this tragic fire. And John Bozeman notices that there's a woman and a child and a woman running away. He sees her and finds out she's living in a cave nearby, which is very unusual, very strange.
Right.
And he figures out that she probably lit the fire. So he goes after her, and the story takes off from there. And she is a kind of she's not easy to get along with. She fights
Yeah.
back and she's got things to say, and she's got this
Yes.
little boy in tow as well to take care of. And so things aren't how they appear, obviously. And he finds out there's a lot of depth to her and what's going on, and he finds out there's a lot of other suspects going on.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. I really liked how it opened with the fire from someone's point of view watching it.
yeah, yeah,
And then I maybe get better, get out of here.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And you don't know until the end, obviously, who that really is, but you also can suspect that it might be this woman and the child, that they've
right.
been there at that cabin. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I did. I suspected them the whole time.
Oh, good. But this is a romance, so we have to save the woman. Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I liked how he was so invested in trying to help her and trying to figure out why she was um basically living like a homeless person,
Right. Yeah.
you know, with and wanting her to be safe and the boy to be safe as
Yeah.
well. So, but
Yeah,
he,
she comes with a lot of baggage. But she also appeals to his heart because he's seen this kind of woman and child in war. And they weren't always saved. War is very cruel. And so he knows that this can go wrong at any moment. And he finds his heart reaching out to them, and he has to figure out what the heck is going on with this fire. Yeah, is it
right,
with an arson? Yeah.
right, yeah. So, how do you keep track of all of the characters in all of these stories? Because are you planning to have, is it 12 stories?
Nine. There'll be
Nine.
nine of these, yeah. I keep track of them because I have notebooks, like I think most people have some sort of notebook either on their computer or, paper. I like paper, so I have paper files and just have people files and keep them per book. I know who's in which book and what their personalities are and what they look like. And so I just write notes to myself and go
Yeah.
from there. I
Is
try to
it?
keep it simple because, there's a lot of charts you can buy, software charts and all this stuff. By the time I would fill one of those out, I would have a whole book written. So I don't bother with that. I just write notes on paper and I'm writing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me too. I think there's a lot of different ways to create a character Bible. I think that's what they call it.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very individual. Every writer should do what feels good to them. It doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, it works. Yeah.
Right. And it's just, I think the important message is to definitely keep track, especially
Oh,
if you plan,
absolutely.
if you're planning a series like the Fudge
Yeah,
Shop,
yeah.
then
Well,
you still,
yeah, and I'm working on a new series now in which it had been so long between the first manuscript because I had a whole bunch of life in between, and I'm working on the second manuscript. I forgot what some people looked like or how old they were, and I had to go back to my notes on that book and refresh
Mhm,
my memory on who these people are.
right.
So yeah, it does happen to you. You forget. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so do you have any advice for writers who want to explore the like novella format?
For a novella, people, I would say it is very important to study dialogue. It really is. And study screenplay writing because it helps a lot because in novellas and screenplay writing, you have to write tight and you have to know plot points in a definite way. There's no fudging. The midpoint happens in the middle, right in the middle. And so you have to be aware of those things. So I think the best thing is to learn dialogue and learn screenplay writing. Just study it for a little while, try and write a screenplay. Try and write a half-hour TV series script. Just go for it and try and do that. Get a feel for dialogue and how the story has to move really fast.
Right. Right. That's great advice. Um, and so, and another thing, the cozy mysteries and romantic suspense are usually centered around some kind of a fun topic, right? Like the fudge. And do you have recipes or do you test your recipes in your fudge
Oh yeah, oh
books?
yeah, yeah, and they were required. A lot of the books now don't have recipes. They've kind of gotten out of that. But when I sold my books, I had to have at least, I think, 3 recipes for each book, something like that. And yes, you have to test them. So you're going to the store and buying all these ingredients and, making a mess in your kitchen and, testing things. I took fudge to work all the time. People at work were always testing my fudge for me. And that was the fun part. It's really a lot of fun. And all of that stuff that you buy is a business expense. You take it off of your taxes. And so, you can spend $100 on ingredients now and then, but it's all an expense. So, and it's fun. It's really a lot of fun making all these goofy recipes about fudge. Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So we talked about the novellas and the cozy mysteries, and you're also a screenwriter.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of your success with that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun. I have written with Peggy Joke Williams. She's also a novelist. But we were members of a screenwriting group in Madison, Wisconsin, and got to know each other and said, hey, let's try this as partners. This would be kind of fun. And by golly, it was fun. And so we wrote all the scripts have been partners writing the scripts. And one of our first movie scripts won a Slam Dance Film Festival contest out in Park City, Utah. And New Line Cinema optioned that. So we had early success, and options come with good money. So we were like, wow, this works. But then the movie didn't get made. They were
Oh,
making Lord of the Rings and losing a lot of money on the production of Lord of the Rings, and projects like ours were just put aside. But we optioned that 2 more times. There were chances that it would have gotten made. But that didn't happen. But we have other scripts that have, recently we had a short script that became a short film and was in several film festivals, I think 3 or 4, a couple of them in
wow.
Wisconsin. And we also placed in the top 10 of a stage play contest with a wonderful script that we still love it. And we have a ton of screenplay ideas that we haven't done anything with. I wish we had the time because there's some good stuff, and I just regret I don't have more time. 'Cause
Right.
I really love screenwriting. I just love it. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. And that process is a little bit different than from, manuscript to book.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
that's, I think, probably a conversation for another day.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because there's a lot that goes into that process as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we had a lot of fun stuff. We got to go to Los Angeles to conferences in Park City, Utah, and we went to Chicago once for a full week to learn how to write scripts for television. That was a lot of fun. And we had a producer for the Night Court, the TV series long ago called Night Court.
I remember that show.
Yeah, and Reinhold Wiggy, who was the producer of that, was our teacher for a
Oh,
full week in
wow.
Chicago. And we had just great fun with him. Wonderful, wonderful guy. I think he died a couple of years ago, and I was sorry to see that. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience. So I've
That's
had
so
a lot of
cool.
wonderful experiences just because I'm a writer.
It's fun being a writer, I have to
Yeah,
admit.
yeah,
Yeah. So now you're also coaching writers. You must be so busy.
I am.
So I
But
really appreciate you being here and talking to me today. But so I'm sure that our viewers would love to hear some nugget of wisdom that you can say about where writers fall short.
where they fall short is not being willing to revise. And you know how hard revision is because you do a lot of revisions,
Yes.
and there are so many writers who won't revise deep enough. Um, it's the funny thing about being a coach and a teacher is sometimes you see what a project could be if only they would revise or if only they would edit. And so I wish people would be willing to revise more deeply or revise that next time. Like I just said to you that I'm working on my 6th draft of a manuscript for a novel. And it's heavy writing and editing. A lot of writers just don't have that in them to do that. And often it's their first book, maybe their second book, and they just find it very tiresome. They can't hang in there. And it
Mm,
takes a lot of, you know, energy, I don't know,
and
constitution,
focus.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But those that have a plan and stick to their plan and stick it out every day doing something for their writing, those are the successful writers. They know it's going to be hard work, but they also know it's going to be joyful. They're going to have moments that are like, aha, I did it. And that's why we write, because we find those moments of joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find that I actually enjoy the editing part more because you
Mhm.
already have words to work with,
Right, yeah.
you
No, I
know, and
agree,
you're
I agree with you. I love the editing process myself too. And the funny thing is, I'm a coach, a teacher, whatever, and you would think I could write something decent and within just a couple of drafts. No, it's hard work. You don't see it in your own work. I mean, I
right,
make so many mistakes in my drafts and I don't care. I'm getting the story out. I know I can correct it later. I know I can
right,
even hire an editor to edit my work and help me out with that. So I'm always
right,
confident of myself that way. It's just getting that story out is the important part.
right, exactly. So that you have something to work with.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So what is next for you?
Oh, next for me. Well, I do have, after Moonstone Fire, there should be another one coming out probably in the fall. I'm not absolutely sure, but there should be another one coming out. I'm also working on picture books for kids. My agent has 3 manuscripts for picture books. She's got those in hand for marketing. And she's also marketing a new mystery series. So that I'm working on that as well. And that one is set in southern Wisconsin. It's in the rural area of southern Wisconsin. And it has a lot of art involved in it.
Cool.
Actors, artists. It's going to be a little different. Yeah.
Wonderful. That
Yeah.
sounds wonderful. And children's books. There's another craft to add
Another
to your,
genre, another type of
yeah,
writing. Oh yeah, and they're a lot of hard work, let me tell you. There's only 500 words, maybe 1,000 words in
right.
most of them. And but I tell you, there's one that I've worked on for at least 3 or 4 years. I think I'm going on my 4th year. And you rewrite it and you rewrite it, and it's just, I don't know why. You go back and you find out, why did I write that line that way? That's terrible. I need to rewrite that, and you have the answer. It comes to you later. It's just
Yeah.
the craziest business, but I love picture books. I love writing them. And I also help people with their picture books. I've done some editing and coaching on picture books. Yeah.
Wonderful. How wonderful. Um, well, it was really great speaking with you today. Where can our viewers and listeners find you or your books?
Well, you can find my books everywhere, and especially you can find them, first of all, in the Blackbird Writers bookstore. So you should go to blackbirdwriters.com and find them there. And you can find me at my own website, which is christinedesmet.com. So it's real easy. It's just my name. I'm out there. And you can find my newsletter through there and sign up for my free newsletter. And I still do it the old fashioned way, but I'm also on Substack. So you can find me on Substack. And
Yay.
let's see, Facebook, you can find me on Facebook under my name, nothing fancy. It's Christine Desmet. Just look up my name and you'll find me. And so that's where you can find me.
Great. And I highly recommend your newsletter, by the way, because it has lots of little great tips and recommendations for readers and for writers as well. It's
Yeah,
a great newsletter.
and this year, as the year goes along, I'm going to focus a lot on dialogue. I'm teaching dialogue at a national summit soon after this interview, and I just love dialogue. So it's just a coincidental thing that we've been talking about dialogue, but my newsletter is going to look at dialogue throughout the year of 2025. So that's what they'll
Cool.
get. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Well, thank you. This has been fun. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.